One of the main challenges you will face as a global politics student is analyzing a case study in a 10-minute oral presentation. I will present you a couple of recommendations and tips for you to follow. The first thing that we have to take into account is that you're being asked to analyze a case study. So framing your case study is actually one of the most important things when you are starting to do this task. A case study needs to be about a political issue of one of the following 6 global political challenges: security, borders, poverty, environment, health, and identity. You can start with a brainstorm of ideas of different topics that you're interested in, and then you could consider the following requirements. Number 1, the case study has to be placed in a real-life context, which means it cannot be hypothetical. A second important thing to consider is that the case study cannot be historical, which means it has to be something recent, something contemporary, but be careful not to choose something that is too recent, because then it will be hard to get to conclusions. A third thing to consider, and careful here because this is where a lot of students face problems, is determining the scope of your case study, which means it cannot be too broad because you only have 10 minutes to analyze, but also it cannot be too specific. Considering these elements, now you can start making a list of possibilities of different case studies you might be interested in, and then you can do a bit of a preliminary research, which means you start gathering a bit of data of the different topics, options that you have. This part is actually super important because sometimes you might be very interested in a particular case study, but then you find out that there is not enough information, or that the information that is available is not quality information that will actually help you to do a good analysis. Now, if you have found something that meets this criteria, but you're still unsure what to go for, I would really recommend you to choose that case study you feel passionate about, that you're curious, that you feel that you can research for hours and you won't mind. Some last important questions you could make to finish this very first phase of selecting your case study are: why is this case study significant? And what different viewpoints could I consider from the wide variety of factors that could have an interest? So I hope these videos help you selecting your case study. Once you have it, I would recommend you to go with your teachers and maybe ask for some feedback just to make sure that everything's on place. And then you can start with the research phase of your particular case study.